Yo guys, how's it going? We are back, and today is the day we start to paint our latest giveaway model, this cool little grot from Kromlech. It is, of course, Orktober. So many of you wouldn't have noticed this, I imagine. But every single mini in last month's giveaway was Orktober themed. We had this guy, obviously. We had this little happy Age of Sigmar style grot. Gloomspite Gits, the sort of Night Goblin looking dude. Rocky! 17 months, man. Absolute superstar. Also, let's not forget Commissar Bob 2, who popped by earlier on. Just say hi, throw his sub in here. And AJC72, who's also subbed pre-stream. Let's not forget as well, there's an orc on this guy's base. So all of the minis had a theme. It was, of course, Orktober. We're going to be painting this guy up with a very Chimo-esque urban camo. We'll get to that one soon, I promise you, but it's going to be a bit weird. Commissar Bob, please do, man. Pop by on the VOD as well over on YouTube. You see the feedback if there is any. Kromlech, how you doing? Greetings, O Mohawk, Night Princeps, Pharaon of the Kyberdine, and Herald of Nurgle. I feel I've achieved all of these titles. A-Cold, how you doing, man? Who else have we got in the stream? We've got Dez, Nick McDade. How you doing, brother? I didn't see a box full of Space Marines in my garage earlier on today, so I'm assuming you didn't get the chance to drop them off last night. It's all good, man. Just get them in the post soon as, please. I can start assembling those while I'm working on Magnus. Speaking of Magnus, some of you guys may have seen on Instagram the gigantic scenic base that guy is going on. Let's just remove this little piece for a minute. This was sculpted by Damien Pedley out of what feels like about 12 kilos of cork. Not sure what he made these steps out of, but I love the fact they've got some texture. Nice little hand-cast tiles, pillars, you name it. The underside's kind of interesting as well. We've got all this root cluster going on, so by the time you've got Maggie stood on that, this is going to look bad-ass. Badass. Rocky, my man, I hope you're doing well. I heard you were a little frustrated with some painting recently. It happens to us all, brother. It happens to us all. Always hit me up if you want to chat, alright? Let's talk about this guy. Let's zoom in a little bit. He is only small, after all. Hey, Just Geek! Thank you for that follow. Let's try and get us to focus up. There we are. Welcome to the stream. Did you finish talking through all games from the weekend? Thought you got to game 4. No, we did get to game 5. We did game 5 where we were in the whip. Basically, my opponent chose to go first, which was his downfall. He rushed down the board at me with a load of Slash Demons. And we came surging out of our deployment zone. Took out 2 Greater Demons before we even got to the charge phase. And butchered one in the combat phase. We absolutely went ham. Murdering 2 Exalted Demons of Slanesh and Shalaxi Hellbane in one turn, leaving not a lot to clean up for an 85 to 50-ish win. That put me second place. I didn't show you guys the trophy. Let me grab the trophy. We having a slack? We do, just about. So, I had to mend this. So first thing, when you go to No Retreat, they give you some dog tags, which are awesome, right? But not only do they give you a dog tag, they give you a command point. One single command point. Now, if you take this with you, there's a clue right there. If you take this with you, then you can use this as a command point, one use only, throughout the event. You hand this to one of the TOs, they remove it, And that's it. Your command point has been spent. Mine sat in that little wooden box on this desk. And I realized this while I was on the train. And I thought, okay, it's a tournament. And I really, really want to do well. So do I get like an Uber back and hit? It's going to be like 150 quid for a command point. Do I want to spend it? Nah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Turns out, didn't really need it. Even in the first game, it wouldn't have made a difference. But look at this beautiful trophy. He who sees his own doom can better avoid its path. He who sees the doom of others can deliver it. What a sick quote that is. Now, you may notice that at the bottom of this is a little bit of frosting. We have had to glue this back together with some glass glue because it turns out... Pop that back up there, pride of place. It turns out that if you weren't expecting second place, because your one loss was really low points, and you get given second place, the adrenaline surge gives you a little bit of the shakes. You know, like, whoo, oh, I've won. Oh, and I was super surprised. When the third place got announced, I was like, oh, shit. All right, I must have been like 4th or 5th then. That was my one hope. Turns out I was 30 points above third place. Now, when you give somebody a glass trophy, and it's a hot room where you're a little sweaty and you're a little shaky and you're trying to hold that and a certificate and some brushes and everything else, if somebody asks you a question and you turn to look, there's every chance that you do that and watch a trophy. Now, using my cat-like reflexes, my meep-like reflexes, I dove for the trophy, hands straight forward. I watched the trophy spin through the air and land on a chair in front of me. I'm like, oh, it's okay. Whew, it's safe. Holy shit, that was close. Then I watched it spring up off of the chair, continue rolling. I'm like, it's not good. Dived for the fucking trophy. Just in time to hear a sound of shattering glass. Steve Austin clearly making his entrance. I had that trophy for maybe 2 minutes before I broke it. What a fucking tool. What an absolute tool. Commissar Bob, peace out, man. Thanks for stopping by. Much love, as always. Crash Test, how you doing? So, yeah. Glass trophies. They're sick as fuck, as you can see. Don't give them to someone with brain damage. That's all I'm saying. Not a good idea. So let's talk about this grot. We just fired up the compressor. A-Code, I try to be nothing if not entertaining, right? Yeah, king of the spackers, right there. Clearly a bad idea to give me that. Chimo was the winner of this guy. Now, you guys may have seen Chimo's very interesting orc army. He was buzzing to get this Gretchen. He converts the hell out of everything. And his paint schemes are highly individual, to put it. They're weird as fuck at times. That's what we're going to say. And he said, what I want you to do is I want you to paint this guy... Nidge! How you doing, man? Feels like it's been a while since I've seen your name, dude. Welcome back. He said, I want you to paint this guy in like a floral dressing gown, as if someone's just interrupted his spa day. And in my head, I'm like, I can't do that. That's... Nah, we're not doing that. But I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it and took his great idea, and distilled it through the realms of, here's what I'm going to paint. And what we're going to do is going to do a very strange urban camo on this guy. So we're going to do a mid-tone grey up to light grey coat, and then we're going to freehand daisies on it. That's what we're going to do. The daisies will be the urban camo. It's going to be different. It's going to be super different. In front of everyone there, I definitely remember you. Don't give a toss about first place. You stole the thunder. Hell yeah, man. All the thunder. And then we threw it on the floor. Nidge, I'm doing great, mate. Thank you very much for asking. It's good to see you again as well, fella. Like the Harlock wins. Yes, exactly like that, Des. So, let's get on with it. Let's start off with some greys. Build this up to a nice smooth finish. Then we'll come in, we'll do the skin. We're going to paint the skin by hand because why not, right? We do a lot of airbrushing. Let's do something that's not airbrushed for a little while. And there's not too much skin on this guy either. So do a little bit of blending with that. We've got some nice selection of greens. We've got one that I haven't chosen to put into a dropper bottle yet, because I'm trying to work out how useful this stuff is anyway. Gnarls Green from P3. I'm liking that as a good base coat for Orc skin. We've got a Standby's and Necrotide Green. We've got some Xandri Dust to give him that ever so slightly desaturated colour to his chin that you see on a lot of Orc sculpt. Then we're going to do a lot of details on this guy. We've got his little pouch, his little water bottle, and so on. We've got this cool looking stick bomb that he's got. So lots of fun little stuff. And then on the next stream, we'll do his base. So I will, between now and then, sculpt up a quick 25mm base. Might even do it on the Hellstorm stream tomorrow with Mikey. Do a little base work before we get on with some more of Magnus, perhaps. And then that will go underneath the model. So you can have a nice looking snow base and plinth. Chimo, how you doing, man? Hope you got my message in Discord. We're getting on with it now, so you've chosen the right time to come in. Let's get some flow improver down. We're going to use some Eshing grey to start with, so a nice dark grey. And then we'll do 2 highlights up with Celestra. Big fan of Celestra grey. It's got quite a lot of like power to it, being one of the Citadel base paint. Why don't I paint the stick bomb as a bottle of wine? Because it clearly isn't a bottle of wine. That was the issue I had with the whole sort of spa day things. Chima, you haven't seen it? Alright, so what we're going to do, you said spa day bathrobe. Instead, I'm thinking some very, very unique urban camo, but with daisies on. So do grey and then build up some like white and black daisies on it. So it's going to have that floral coat, but it's not quite going to look like a dressing gown. I figured with the extra bits and pieces got on there, a dressing gown would look a little bit weird, so this is what we're going to go with. So let's get that Eshing grey laid down. Nice and quick. And Chimo, how do you normally do your basing? What's your sort of recipe for your little grots, your little Orc Harlequin style guys? I like Pi 95. How you doing? Good. Leonidas of Sparta 69 says, good evening. Could you recommend a good starter compressor and airbrush? Yeah, I mean, there's 2 schools of thought. The first one is spend a load of money and buy something decent right off the bat, which is a good idea if you know already that airbrushing is something you want to be doing. But if it's not, if you're thinking, well, you know, I've never used an airbrush, I'm just kind of interested, then the best thing to do, honestly, just go to Amazon, just do a search for airbrush with compressor. Look for something that's a good deal. You'll find a load of stuff there that is like a bundle kind of package, right? So you'll have your compressor, so that may or may not have a tank with it. You'll have, ideally, a dual action gravity fed airbrush, so that's one like this with a cup at the top. Dual action is this goes up and down for air, back and front for paint. And then you might even get some like cleaning supplies, like the little airbrush cup holder doodad and so on, right? 40k orcs have some white, black, checkered tiles with some simple marble effects. Oh, sweet. We get to a cool marble effect. That'll do. Yeah, I can sort you that out. No issue at all, mate. Right, let's get a little bit of that Celestra Grey in here. The starting sheet, there's no problem with that. My first airbrush I used for about 2.5 years. For the compressor, I used the brush for about a year before switching up to a better brush that's a little bit more responsive. And my housemate now uses all my old setup. And it still works perfectly fine like 5 years after we began the airbrushing. Well, 4 years, I guess. Yeah, 4 years about this month. Doing great, about to start collecting models myself, so watching people paint themselves, so we get some tips. Nice, dude. You come to the right place. We try and be fairly educational on here. Try and take some of the lessons that I've learned over Wooden Spoon. Here he is, 10 months. Honey, I'm home, he says. How's it going, Matt? Good to see you as always, mate. So let's just dust in some of this towards the bottom of the cloak. But like I was saying, we try and take some of the lessons that I've learned over 25 odd years or so of playing Toy Soldier games and turn them into lessons for you guys so you can avoid some of the pitfalls, some of the mistakes, some of the trial and error that I've had to do. Let's get some of the lapel, some of this little bit of greatcoat he's got at the front there. We're going to do a lot of the details on the lapel in red because it'll stand out massively from the rest of the mini, which is going to be obviously green for the skin and this sort of desaturated camo. You're saying you're going to do some Sylvaneth, you like tree people. Mate, those minis are sick. Like, really, really sick. And they lend themselves to simple painting as well. So, whilst we don't tend to advocate things like dry brushing and stuff on the channel, because I strongly feel that there are far better ways of achieving the same result, but better. So, you'll still get your highlights, you'll get your shadows. It won't be a humongous amount of effort. This will do black. You can make it look a lot better than the sort of dry brush chalky effect that you tend to get. Airbrushing is definitely one of those ways, but it's quite a high entry cost. Like a beginner airbrush set, you'd be looking at somewhere in the region of about £100 for your compressor, your tank, some cleaning bits and pieces. Just get a little bit more flow improver, and then up the Celestra Grey just a touch as well. You got a battle Tommy, I wouldn't have a clue. But looking up Cake Viscount. Coral very faint pink purplish colours from a realm where they live in a coral reef. That sounds really cool, dude. Yeah, I totally agree with Too Many Sprues. That is a very cool sounding idea. And I've not seen anyone paint them like that before as well, so go you. We'll be home if we're still sat in Murica, or we can see in the Mohawkies. No, that's not going to stick. Absolutely not. We need a much, much better name for that sort of thing if you guys want a name for it. That was a bad name. So again, just dusting in a lighter pass of this Celestra Grey. Going to use this as a highlight colour. As you can see, we're getting a nice set of contrast there, getting those dark shadows in. Building up these brighter highlights. There you go, so that's the lower section. Get these arms, these big old cuffs of his. So I'm going to do as much more as a sort of zenithal, so top down. Just going to touch a little bit on that lapel, and then what we're going to do in a second is cheat between now and the flesh tones. We're going to use this grey as a bit of a zenithal on the face. Just doing a little highlight to one side of his hat there. Helping keep a nice little transition going on. Get these big floppy ear things. And then, like I said, we're going to shade the face with a zenithal style. So when we start painting our greens on, we've already got our roadmap of our values set. Light grey is pretty good to use this for this. It's not that far from white. I'm keeping this pretty top down and pretty contained. So obviously the nose is going to get quite a lot brighter. Front part of his cheeks and so on down to the mouth. You know, you see you're getting a load of that detail just starting to peek its way out. Feet have already got it, but let's just pop a little bit more towards the toes on both sides, and then make sure we just get the sort of edges of his knuckles out here. Boom, that's that bit done. Let's flush this through. We can get on with the actual painting. Leonidas, no worries, man. Show me what you do when you start using airbrush. Plenty of tips I can give, I'm sure. Nom. With the whole coral reef thing, there are millions of reference pictures out there. What you need to do though is find a few that surround one theme, because there are hundreds of different colours you see in a coral reef, and you need to find like things that fit with the theme that you're after, which is that kind of pinky purple sort of style. Then find a good splash colour. So ones that jump to mind immediately, yellow, pink. Both of these go well together. Bright pinks off of the dark purples. Very, very, very pale blues. Still vibrant, not too desaturated, but pale. Right. He's set down with a hairdryer. Let's grab our palette and get on with it. Let's get some dark tone to begin with. Start shading in those recesses. Any tips for deep cleaning brushes? Master's brush soap is what I use. I keep meaning to try and get hold of some Gentastic brush goop. Actually, they're on Element now. Do Element stock their brush goop? Let's have a look. Exclamation point Element in the chat if you want to go and check out some of the Monument Hobby stuff. Brush Care. Dispatch 29th of October. Holy shit. All of their stuff is. Okay. Well, we've got a cheeky little voucher for Element, which was my prize for coming second at No Retreat. So maybe that's what we're going to use it for. I do want to try out some of Jason's brushes. No, because it involves moving everything. But I can give you a link to it. Paint Soviet scenery. Let's just search for paint rack. So this was an Element Games modular system, and it's really, really good actually. Like I'm very, very happy with this. I bought this. And then I bought four extra sets of shelves for it. So each shelf holds 18 paints. And as you see, we have quite a lot of paints. There's room for things like inks down there, powders. There's drawers here. So this one has got my oils in, a few other bits and pieces. So really, really good setup. Did you get ITC points for No Retreat? I should have, and Pardo was going to look into it, but I don't think it's come through yet. Currently, I'm ranked top 70 in the world, which isn't bad when you're playing one of the shittest armies out there. If that has gone through, I should make it to top 50 or so. It's just in 79 with 653.6 points. So, yeah, still hasn't come through. But when that comes through, I'm expecting a good 200 points from second place because I had the multiplier for 4 games in a row that won. Element don't ship to the US, but check out Death Ray Designs. They might be able to help you out. We did a promotion with them not long ago. Let's see, if I get 200 points, we went from 660 odd, 653, so it's 853. If we get 200 points, it'll put me in the top 20 in the world, which would be nice. That'll be nice. And that's overall. We're still world number 1 for Imperial Knights, as I expect to be for the rest of the season. So just taking some dark tone, thinned it right down, just with some water, and then we're just going to paint these into our recesses. So all of these sections around the top where we've got these creases, I want to darken those right down. Your game scores are on BCP. They were, but the ITC points weren't. So basically, when you set up an event on BCP, and it might be different with the new version of BCP that came out literally the weekend of the event. So I haven't had to go with this as a TO yet. But under the new version of BCP, you score the game directly into the app with both you and your players turn by turn scorings for like the primary, your secondaries, and so on. It's really, really interesting. There's a lot of extra functionality that went in there. Now, when we did the Necron 24-hour stream, we had a visit from the Best Coast Pairing guys. They popped into the stream. We had a little bit of an impromptu interview, which was super cool. I've used their app for pretty much every tournament I've been to, with the exception of maybe 3. Binkleton! There's another old school that we haven't seen for a while. Dude, how are you? Long time no see, champ. So you remember all the names. Shit, Tunic Sprues, that sucks. But I'm sure you did fine. Sure you did fine. If your modly duties are anything to go by for the standard of your work, then you'd have had a bad day. But hey man, I bet you nailed it. Pro Jam, what up? Danny Tubb says, can I ask what the main differences are between Imperial and Chaos Knights? Chaos Knight models look so much better in my opinion. Get out, you're banned. Can we get a timeout, please, on Daddy Tubbs for this utter heresy? So, it's a gameplay thing. The rules for different households, like dread houses and so on, are obviously very, very different. So to give you an example, the Chaos Knights, for their like faction, we'll call it, rather than house. For the Iconoclast, you get things like extra AP and extra attack in combat. For the Infernal, you get that weird, you can buff your weapons and all that sort of stuff. Whereas for the Mechanicus houses, I get a wound back every turn. That's it. Feels very lackluster, but I'll tell you what, that has saved me some nights. It's pretty good. The other main difference is that the stratagems are changed. Some of the Warlord traits you get in the Chaos book are relics in the Imperial one, and vice versa. So there's a lot of differences that are kind of fundamental. In terms of play style, they're about the same. They are about the same. I play Loyalist Iron Warriors. I have a little bit of fluff in my army. which I've gone over a few times. I'm not going to bother with it again. Bingleton, no worries, man. Absolutely no worries. Got to do what we got to do, right? But I love the color schemes, and my current Marine army is Primaris Alpha Legion. You know, I'm a big fan of that sort of chop and change the lore to sort of suit your own head and your own canon. So let's get these little creases just picked out. Go for that slightly exaggerated cartoon style, so making sure our shadows are really strong, really deep. There we go. And then let's just pop another couple in here to really emphasize those. Going to go with a slightly stronger concentration of dark tone, but keep our brush strokes just a little smaller now. Mobar, Alabama. I at least know where that is. One of my exes was from Alabama. She hated that fucking Skinner song. Can you buy a Chaos Knight using the Imperial Knight? I did have the same weapons. Yes and no. So there are 2 knights that are Chaos Knights, as in they are only for the Chaos Knight faction, and cannot really be used for the Imperial one because they are the Ravager and the, help me out, the Spoiler. Maybe not the Spoiler. Basically, they have 2 that only Chaos can use, and Imperial Knights, that the basic chassis are used by both factions. So we have no specific like no faction specific minis. Right, whilst that's drying, let's get some base coats down on the flesh and use that Gnarls green that I want to try out. The Spoiler, thank you. This was the mystery box, Binkleton. It was indeed. This is going to Chimo, who has got a load of Grots. He's a big fan of Grots, in fact. So it turns out that the winner, big fan of the prize, which is good. Love it when that happens. If you were taking knights to tournaments, which army would you take and why? I'm going to start taking my Necron soon. So pre-order came out yesterday. We have picked up 3 Locust Heavy Destroyers, which I had to get from Glasshammer because Elements sold out of those. But they're looking good. Going to try and mag the weapons as well, so hopefully we can get a lot of mileage out of those. Picked up 3 of the new Walkers. The Canoptech Destroyer. What are they called? Nope, forgotten. The big walking gun platform, basically. Doomstalker? Doomstalker. Canoptech Doomstalker. That's about right, I think. Yay, there we go. Yeah, got it right. Picked up 3 of those. They're looking interesting. Haven't read the rules until I had a quick scan over Goonhammer's review. 4-pin vulnerable save, and a slightly worse version of the gun that you get on Doomsday Arcs and such. Only slightly worse because I believe the ranges are different, but I'm not overly fussed about that. I think that's okay. Small board and all that jazz. So yeah, they're looking pretty cool. I like them. So putting this down as a glaze, you can see it's really, really thin. We'll do a couple of passes to just sort of build up the opacity as we go. Let's not forget his little pointy ears. I promise you he's a Grot, not an elf. Looks like a extra from Gremlins. But did you yesterday pre-order turret dude, left with Knight Castellan and no pre-order? Is the Castellan good? Not in my silicon model. No. So I haven't used the Castellan since about the middle of 8th. This was actually before it took a nerf in points. So it went from 604 points up to 700 odd points. They took away the 3++ on your rotate as well. And I thought it was bad even before they did that. And once they'd done that, I was like, this is dead. This mini is absolutely dead. It's not good. The absolute randomness of it is its downfall. So all of the weapons are random shots and random damage, with the exception of the plasma. And you're going to have many occasions where you put the absolute beans into something, knowing with certainty that it should die from that, and it won't die. It will be absolutely fine. There'll be barely a scratch on it, and your 600 point now Knight, because it's gone down in points, will have done absolutely fuck all. So I stopped playing using it. It was too risky. Now you can use the Cold Eradication Warlord trait from the Mechanicus Engine War Psychic Awakening, and that's great, but because it's still 3 CP to rotate shields on it, which is absolutely ridiculous, that should not be the case whatsoever. But because it is, your opponent targets it and you have to protect it. So you, alright, I'm going to rotate. You spend 3 CP and then they shoot at something else. So it's not good. As soon as that goes down to just being 1 CP overall, because it shouldn't be more for the big knights. They're not that much stronger than the Crusader, if at all. Then yeah, it'll be worth it again. But for now, it's sat there on the shelf, and I love mine. He is wrong side again, just there, and I love him. He was entered into an open painting contest at the Beachhead Brawl and was a finalist. And was a finalist against people with these amazing dioramas. Came down to, I think he got top 3 or top 2. One of them, no, Trajan got top 2. Trajan got top 2. Which knight should you get? Knight Crusaders, baby. If you play, so actually the one that you should get is Canis Rex. Okay, you buy Canis Rex because it's got all the kit that you need for a Crusader, plus it's got all the extra bits that Canis Rex has for the same price as a Crusader. So you get that extra sprue in there, which you can then, you know, chuck on eBay if you decide you don't want it and try and recoup some of the price for your knight and so on. But that's the one to pick up for definite. 10 Necron Warriors on Sprue and Scourge and Domitus. If you need them for free, let me know. Daddy Tubbs, that's really, really nice of you, man. But I've got 60 Warriors, which I'm thinking should be enough. I did 20 of them with the new gun, which has been changed. So instead of a 14-inch rapid fire weapon, which was just weird. But okay, we could deal with it. It's now a 12-inch range Assault 2 weapon, which I like a lot more. That is substantially better. But I really appreciate it, man. And we've got 18 Scarab bases as well, which is pretty much maximum. And 2 Christ and more with a different unit. Well done, Des. So here's the problem, right? Any competitive army, and almost all of my thoughts on the game gravitate towards a competitive setting. So we're talking a tournament. Any competitive army will have the stones to be able to drop a knight and do significant damage to another one in one turn. There are very few lists out there now that can drop 2 knights in a turn, unless they specifically tech into it, because you've got about 250 points less to play with now than you did only a couple of months ago. But it means that I can still rotate on that night and lose another Crusader. The other thing as well is that the sort of points that you have to make up your army are already tight enough to get things in. And my list is perfectly on the money at 2,000 points. 3 Crusaders, 3 Armiger Halverins. Excuse me. As soon as you start taking other units, it becomes, well, I have to take this now instead of this, and it's suboptimal. What do you think of the Knights list, the one that got second in the GT in the States? Castellan Wardens, Admech Horse Spam. I'd say it's not a Knight list. I play Pure because I like the challenge in it. And also, I'm one of those people that were old school, and your army was taken from one codex, and that was it. You didn't have allies. You just played this book. I have taken Soup. I've got some Admech, some like a Rusty 17, plus some Scorpius Destroyers, and it ups the power of your list dramatically. Like, humongously. I'm just not a fan. What about Valiant? Any good? That's an epic present. They're only good as an Imperial household. And Imperial households don't get the 1 CP Machine Spirit Resurgence strat to act at full strength. And so, as a result, they're a bit... If your opponent doesn't kill that Crusader, they can't risk leaving it on 1 hit point or so. They have to try and finish it off, and that is enormous. We had a lot of whinging about it, and I've had to remind people many times that Knights are terrible, and that's the one thing that we've got, so leave it out. Right, grabbing some Celestra Grey. I'm going to just do some highlights on all of his Greatcoat. So start off just hitting some of the obvious edges. And then we might end up mixing this up with a little bit of white just to pick out a couple of final highlights on this as well. With Chaos Knight work in a mixed army with another Chaos Force. Thinking about starting 40k army and like to do a big Knight stomping around. In friendly games, yes. In competitive games, not really. It's 3 command points, which is a massive investment. And speaking of 3 command points being that massive investment, the Necron Monolith is now a Lord of War choice. So my original goal of picking up 3 is unlikely. But I am probably going to pick up 1 because I love the mini, and I'd love to get some nice sort of Necron symbols stenciled up it, looking sick, because they are awesome. They are awesome. Just I wish they were still a heavy support choice. But if you're going to take 1 Chaos Knight, take whatever one you want. Apart from the purely close combat ones, I'm not a big fan. For 1 game of 40k, I'm already thinking of a new army to collect. Either Plague Marines in Rhinos with 1 Land Raider and loads of Death Guard Termies, or a Knight and some Imperial Guard. Ixtab, how you doing? Jager, you don't have to apologise for being late, man. This isn't a paid position. Although, see me afterwards. This is disgraceful. How dare you? Death Guard are really good. They're very tough. They're about to get a new codex with some new toys. They've teased that 1 mini already. The guy that buffs all of your vehicles. Which, as they're unlikely to be core... Like, currently only 2 codexes have come out, so I haven't got a lot to draw on here, information-wise, but the Necron Codex has got something like 6 core units, which I want to say are Warriors, Immortals, Lich Guard, the bike things, forgotten what they're called, and I thought there was a couple more, but That son's dog ate your excuse sheet. Brilliant. You're forgiven. Castellan is so much nicer looking than the Crusader. I keep him... Yeah, absolutely, mate. He looks sick. I wish he was slightly taller. But, on that note, go check out a guy called Taro Model Maker. He's got an Etsy store, and he's now trying to get everything onto his main store, his own sort of web store. Go check him out. He does a load of stuff for night conversion kits. And the stuff he does for like the Castellan style, where you can get like a waist extender, leg extenders, and so on. It looks epic with that on it. Tomb Blades, that was the one. So with all of those being core in the Necron book, get Space Marines, get basically everything that's on foot as core. But none of their tanks. Dreadnoughts count as being on foot, by the way. Then I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the average tank isn't going to be a core unit. So having a buff character specifically for your tanks, I think it's really strong. Maladeus, how you doing, man? Brilliant. Tactical toilet break. Are you upset the Grav Amp strat has gone? No! Ha! All Marine players that abuse that with fucking double Grav drop pods can frankly suck a dick. It was broken. So broken. If they said you can either choose before you use the strat to reroll a number of hits or reroll like wound rolls of a 1 or something, or 1 and a 2, shall we say, because you know, as you just have a lieutenant nearby if you're really that bothered, it would have been okay. But reroll all of that shit? No. Utter bullshit that was. There was a lot of stuff in those Marine Codexes that didn't get shown to playtesters because, unfortunately, GW had a bit of an issue with some of their playtesters being blabbermouths. And so they just stopped showing them shit. Which is why the Ironstone got to be what it was, and so on and so on and so on, right? It was utter AIDS. Lee, his stuff is brilliant. Really nice replacement parts for knights. Very much sort of inspired by stuff. And also hand cast in resin as well, not 3D printed. So there's a fair bit of workmanship and craft that's gone into each of those things. So I'm a big fan of his. There's some cool shit. So just hitting some of these creases on his overcoat. Getting this looking as good as it needs to. We'll do one more highlight just in a few areas to really pick out some of this. I'm not overly worried about it because we're going to start painting some freehand. Our very unique floral camo pattern is going down on this. This guy is going to be a baller. Going to paint daisies all over his coat. Happy about CM nerf? Chapter Master nerf? You've put it in like nerf. It's a nerf. That is flat out a nerf. Yes, it's 40 points now rather than a couple of command points. I still feel that to include your Chapter Master, you should be looking at spending a command point at least. Rather than it just be points. But I'm kind of okay with it. As far as the nerf itself goes, it's a hell of a nerf. Instead of it being a 6-inch aura of all you guys reroll all your hits, you pick one core unit or a character, and that guy rerolls his hits. So, what you can do is put your Chapter Master as your Smash Captain now, bail him up the field, pick himself as his own aura target, and then he gets to reroll all his hits in combat. But you can either have one chapter master, and that means they're putting a chapter master entirely in harm's way. So if he doesn't get the kill on that night, they've thrown away their chapter master. I love the fact you can only have one. I think that's really good. I wish, though, that... And this is just like personal preference rather than anything else. They probably shouldn't have done this, but I wish they'd said, if you have a named chapter, such as Ultramarines or whatever, then you can't take a chapter master. You have to take Calgar or Bobby G. And if you have a unnamed chapter, then you can take one. And then make a lot more stuff parent chapter only. So not just like, oh, I'm going to choose to be, say, an Ultramarines founding chapter, so I can take an Ultramarines relic and so on. But specifically just if you're Ultramarines, if you're Imperial Fist, that is it. Not if you're a successor of, not if they are your parent chapter, not if you've used Inheritors of the Primarch or whatever it's called. None of that shit should have come into play to make people play the original chapters more and less of their own custom ones. Melted devs are looking pretty baller. They are looking pretty baller. And even though the points of a Devastator Marine now, it was, what, 16, 17? I don't know what it went up to at the start of 9th. I can't remember offhand. But with a second wound, I'm assuming they're now a little bit more expensive than they were. And yes, the Marine Codex needed really toning down. Really toning down. I'm now excited to play Marines. Like, as Marines. Whereas before, I wouldn't have touched that with a fucking barge pole. I don't want to play the army that everyone's playing because it's super powerful. I want to play the army that everyone thinks, oh, I can beat this. I've got the meta army. And then I love seeing the look on their face. And I'm like, I'm losing. Love that. Love that. So, oh, well done. You chased the meta and you so nearly caught it. Don't see it being worth it to smash Chapter Master. I don't either, unless you're Blood Angels. I think Blood Angels Smash Chapter Master is still very, very much a thing. Because you're already investing so much into that one dude anyway. An extra 40 points isn't the end of the world. And for him to hit almost all his attacks rather than like re-rolling just ones and needing 3s or 2s if you've got Astaroth, I think super clutch. What you can do though, because it happens at your command phase, you can use your Chapter Master to just hit a regular Smash Captain up and feed that Smash Captain in. It does mean you need 2 detachments, which means you're paying some CP, so I like that side of it. So yeah, I think that there's still plenty of scope for it. Crash Test, that's awesome, dude. But I have completely forgotten who you might be in real life, so please remind me. Civilian Waffles, haven't had a chance to look at the Necron codes, but I changed the reanimation protocols. Was there better off? Fuck yes! All of the yes. 100%, 1000% yes. Necrons went from joke army hanging around somewhere at like table 28 to being a solid army. Like a solid army. I'm really, really excited to use mine. Can't wait. Absolutely buzzing for it. Right, this green colour wasn't quite as dark as I was hoping it was going to be. But for a Grot, paler skin is fine anyway. Cenobite Studio, thanks for the follow and welcome to the stream. Oh, holy shit. I didn't realize that was you. You've got a different name on every fucking platform. So, how you doing, bud? Get it up to 2K. I saw your list in the in Discord. I haven't had a chance to look over it though. Right, let's get a dark green wash. Let's look somewhere like here. Military shader, that'll do. That'll do. Really loving the Nightbringer. He is death incarnate now. So good. I'm really a fan of the Catan. And I know a lot of people were like, Catan are really shit because you can target them. But you can only lose 3 wounds a turn. You gain 1 back for living metal. You can't be affected by protocol, so you can't get the one that's like the double wound back. But you can only lose 3 wounds a turn, and you've got 9 wounds. Sorry, 3 is a phase. You got 9 wounds, unless you go up against an army that has a strong psychic, shooting, and combat force. You're okay. I think the Nightbringer is a fucking beast. Like, beyond just a little bit of, like, pop. The 360 points, he needs to be. But I think he is a fucking weapon. Get him in combat and smash things. And then, just gaze of death something. You get lucky, on 3 dice, you do 9 mortal wounds to a unit. That clears out a lot. So I'm a very big fan of what they've done to the Catan. Void Dragon. Void Dragon I'm not 100% sold on. But I mean, I'm still buying one. Because he is so pretty. So pretty. It's just, I'm not entirely certain he's worth it. The Deceiver, decent. Yeah, kind of like that. Regular Catan, not overly sure of. But that's mostly because I can't remember their stat line. I think the Catan powers have had a massive overhaul and have given them a bit of an extra dimension. And I really like that. So, bit of a fan of those. Tesseract Vaults. Meh. Can't really get behind that. You say like Bobby G in combat. I think because he just turns off invulns. Legit, just like no invuln for you. Because of that, I think he's better than almost anything else. And yeah, it's a lot of points. You can't just sort of throw him away. You've got to have clever use of him. And we're definitely converting one because that fine crap piece of shit is never going on a table of mine. Just meh. But overall, Catan are badass. Absolute badass. Right, let's start painting daisies. Something I never thought I'd do on stream. So let's get some black, thin it down. Hey Mohawk says Ghost Miniatures. Question: have you ever used a Chaos rune-based rolling pin for green stuff world? Trying to decide the base Chaos key for word bearers. Need a marble effect, but not sure where to start. Any suggestions? I haven't used any of the green stuff world rolling pins. But if you do pick one up, then Vaseline is your friend. Otherwise, it'll stick. And just a little bit of Vaseline on there will help to keep that nice and free and stop that green stuff from pulling up all the time. I know a lot of people that have used them and they've had great results, so go for it, dude. I think for a word bearer's army, that's really, really good. In terms of marble, if you're doing it en masse, then the best way is the wet wipe method. So you take a wet wipe, a dryer sheet, baby wipe, something along those sorts of lines. Stretch it out. So you pull basically big holes and little holes in it. So you've got, instead of it being like this width, you're sort of stretching it to this width. Let it dry entirely. And if it's a dryer sheet, make sure it's a used one, because otherwise you've got that residue on there. Let it dry out completely. So super good for this. And then you wrap that around the thing, or you put it over and use that as a stencil and give that a go. I've got something coming in the mail in probably a week or so's time that I'll be able to use to show you guys a different way of doing marble. And we're going to be using this on some terrain as well. So stay tuned for that, because that's going to be, I feel, quite interesting. Hey, no worries, man. Right, daisies. They've normally got 6 petals and a little central, like, pollen area. I'm going to do the petals in white, I think. And they're normally like a rounded top. So actually what we'll do is we will mark out just a wee, like, hexagon on this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we know where our flower petals need to start and finish. So we're doing Necrons, but then I still want to go for like Custodes cheese too. Like, we're in 2 shield captain on bikes and stuff. Custodes. So Custodes was super, super strong at the drop of 9th, and they're not that good, trust me. Because you've got to do so much work to get the Custodes to do what you want them to do. And it's very easy to see through some of their tricks. One of the reasons they were looking super strong was because people hadn't played 9th at all, let alone had much chance to play against Custodes in the aftermath of their Psychic Awakening book. You have to play them absolutely right, because you've got such a low model count army. And I don't think they're amazing. I think they're okay, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're amazing. Haggis Hunter, how you doing? Yeah, nowhere near the top. I mean, don't get me wrong, I play like a bottom tier army and I regularly podium with it, because it's about how you play the army and the amount of reps that you have with it to know all the little tricks and so on. So you can podium with anything. But just because say someone like who plays fucking weird lists, my buddy John, all right, just because he podiums using Eldar like tank spam doesn't mean that anyone can podium without Eldar tank spam. Custodes plus Imperial Guard or Admech seems like the strongest build. I would suggest that you don't take soup with Custodes. And to answer somebody's question from earlier on, do you think 9th has done enough to get rid of soup? I think that soup now is such a... It's a choice you are making specifically for your army to fill a gap that it has in its data sheets or its ability on a tabletop. You have to make an informed decision about it rather than it just be, well, I'm playing Custodes, so I'll get my loyal 32 in there for some CP. I think that has changed dramatically over how it used to be. And so, yes, I think there is a lot of stuff in 9th that stops people from wanting to soup. Soap kills so many army rules. Yeah, it does. So I'm reasonably sure that Custodes need to be pure Custode detachments to get their invulnerable save buff, but not pure Custodes army. That might change. and they're very strat hungry. Like, if I was going to play Custodes, I'd definitely put Blood Games on my Shield Captains. There'd be a lot going on with those. Let's do some real tiny daisies as well. This brush, not so good for detail. Let's grab my new one. Imperial Agents and Yanari. I think mixed Eldari is still definitely a thing. So like Drukari and Harlequins, Mark plays. I think that's still super strong. Like really, really, really tournament winning strong. What else? What other soups are strong soups? Mixed Marines. So dual detachment Marines. Still strong. Marcus is playing Fists and Angels. I think that's a good one. What the shit? Look at that. Can't see that over the black glove. Literally just like split in two at the point. See if we can save this with some brush soap. Brilliant. Pushing. Very close to Pushkin. I like that. Let's try that again. It's a brand new brush, so it better not be a dud. Okay, we're good. Pushkin daisies, that's it. Large daisy over here. And then once we've sketched out these, we'll come back in with some white, we'll do the petals and so on. And that's when we'll also do that second highlight in the places that need it on his coat. I'd like these to have a bit of a black outline to them, just to really cartoon it up. I think that would work quite well with Chimo's army style, his own painting schemes. And just with the theme of the piece, the over the top sort of ridiculousness of a Grot wearing a coat covered in daisies. Small daisy. Some of these have got 7 petals because clearly they are not all real daisies. Hate playing against this army. The war boss always drags the game out. Joseph Stalling. Oh, God. Totally, Rob. Totally. The same way my knights are always actually transporting their own cover, you know. Counts as hardcover for Titanic only. So let's see, what other 40k questions have we got? Who's got some other questions for either 9th or some of the new stuff, perhaps? New Space Marine stuff, still strong. Eradicators, still actually broken. They kept shoot twice. Aggressors lost shoot twice. Which is, if no other like benefit from that is, at least it speeds the game up against Ultramarine players. Because fuck me, when you're firing 140 shots, re-rolling hits and wounds and so on. Good God. Put that man on the clock. That takes just this side of forever. Four aggressors getting nerfed on both rules. When you say both, they lost their advances shoot as well, which you don't really need now. You still have to counter standstill if you're an Ultramarine, which is pretty powerful. But it doesn't matter if you shoot twice anymore. So I think aggressors will now fall into less of a shooting only role, which is kind of what most people use them as, and will absolutely be used in the multi-role that they should be. But the fact they've taken that role away, more people will be more mobile with their aggressors, which is what they should be doing. When I play my aggressors, the last few times I've used them, they've been in an Iron Hands list. And people look at my list and like, alright, this guy's not a good player, you've taken aggressors in an Iron Hands list. Like, yes, I have. And Hellblasters. Hellblasters are legit. I mean, they're terrible, but I love them. But aggressors are such a good close combat unit. All them power fist attacks going in there. Because they still have 3 attacks each for no reason whatsoever. Absolutely no reason whatsoever. That happened in the second of the 8th Ed Marine books. And yes, you do still use your supplements from 8th Ed with 9th. There'll probably be a little bit of FAQing. So just bear in mind that maybe not everything's going to be exactly the same. But yes, you use those. But aggressors, you should be firing them across the field, literally running forward, and then just smashing the shit out of stuff. That's one of the best reasons to take them as Iron Hands. Is the Strength of the Gorgon strat, where you basically cancel out that -1 to hit. 2 CC weapons, but that's not a thing anymore, right? Like, you basically got +1 attack with a chainsaw because it was a light wieldy melee weapon, but I think aggressors are still good. Yes, they lost double shoot, but the role that they filled with that was anti-infantry. I mean, what other anti-infantry do Marine players have? Fuckloads. The new ATV, which I hate the miniature of, I really do, has basically taken that role away from aggressors. I don't know if they take the penalty for move and shoot. No, they don't, because they're not infantry. That's it. They're bikes, right? So therefore they're not infantry, therefore they can move and fire without the -1. Which means that you will have 8 shots apiece, is it? From the gun, or 12 shots from the gun? I think it's 12, right? 12 shots at strength 6, -1, damage 1. So you put 3 of those in a squad. And they're reasonably tough. I think they've got 6 wounds apiece or something. You know, they're relatively durable. Then you play Dark Angels. And then your opponent goes, right, and shoot at those. So you jink. giving the entire unit a 4-up vulnerable save. Then your Raven Wing Apothecary on bike, after one of them dies, just goes, cool. Back up you get. And reses one. That's not busted at all. I think that's pretty strong. I think that's significantly strong, in fact. Alright, let's do some little daisies on his arms. There's not a lot of real estate here to paint too many of these. We're going to do a big fat one on his hat. But we won't do the sleeves. Not the cuffs, rather. But yeah, there's not a lot of room on here. So we're just sort of getting some slightly less than detailed ones down. Then we'll do the infill on the rest of them. So we'll do all these little... Is it a stamen? The middle bit with all the pollen, I think that's what it's called. They'll be in black. Petals will be in white. We've got Pushkin daisies. Soviet Russia's #1 Grot. Cool. He's got his hat one today. Should have been a Dark Angels player. I mean, they're all basically going to be Codex supplement, so custom chapter Dark Angels all over the place. Also, I think taking them with multi-melters is probably a pretty good move. Speaking of overpowered bullshit, what's this heavy melter rifle everyone's been seeing? Where at short range, you do D6 plus 4 damage. Hersalcero! How you doing, man? Gibraltar was great. Really, really good. Had loads of fun. Strongly suggest that anyone that is able to paint an army well enough applies for No Retreat. I'll be applying again next year. Try and turn my second place into a first place. I have to do some more work on the knights to tart them up a bit though. Alright. My blue Dark Angels with white U on their shoulders make it look to the club. Yes, they fucking will. Mate, that heavy melter rifle is utter bullshit. You still fire twice with that thing. It's ridiculous. Now them as Dark Angels, where they get that extra bit of range. Is it a heavy weapon? It is, isn't it? So you get that -1 to hit, but that doesn't really matter. Also, I'm hoping that Vulcan Hestan gets a bit of a nerf as well, because Sallies are still pretty fucking good. Even with their change to their chapter tactic. But Vulcan Hestan is old school chapter master with aura for a start. So I imagine that's not gonna last. Also, it's reroll hit and wounds with him for the fucking melter, which is just grim. So we have a little flower on head. Got 8-pointed flower apparently. Multi-shot multi-melters actually makes a boatload of sense. Here's what didn't make sense with a multi-melter, right? I have one at the top, I have one at the bottom, and I fire it at something, and somehow that's doubled my effective range. I don't see that one at all. Having it fire twice, I see, but could they not have put it down to 12-inch? Yeah, I guess, but he's basically the equivalent of, hence why I call him Chapter Master. Because he gets that Chapter Master reroll hits. And it's reroll wounds with like flamer / melter weapons. It's fucking broken. Especially where the Eradicators are still so cheap. There's still 40 points a model kitted out. Maybe not with the heavy rifle, perhaps, but you know. Just there's no need for that at all. Right, we're using some white ink. We're going to use this for the infill on the flowers. It's actually got decent coverage. You need maybe a pass or two, but it'll get the job done. And what time are we at? We are at 22 minutes past 10, so we've got stacks of time. Should get all of the coat done on this guy today. And then hopefully the flesh as well. Meaning we can get the base done on tomorrow's Hellstorm stream. And then painted on the next stream here on Tuesday. Mental. I hit range on a multi-mount because of the power pack remains back though. Yeah, absolutely. Right? I mean that's clearly it. But remember the Devastators didn't always have that sculpt. I am so looking forward to getting my Necrons on the table. I get to play them for the first time on Saturday using a new codex against a friend of mine who was in the stream on Thursday night, a guy called Martin, or Jamartin as we all call him. And he's going to be using Blood Angels using the new codex, obviously not the new supplement. He's been hard at work getting those painted up. He told me he wants those extra 10 points. I mean, I didn't tell him it wasn't going to matter, but... Yes, Crownblade, the center of a daisy is yellow, but it's not very good urban camouflage putting yellow polka dots on something, therefore black and white. I mean, I'm not suggesting that daisies on your camo is good urban camouflage anyway, but this is what we're going with. This is so weird. So weird. No. Clearly a blood axe. Look at that hat. He understands camo. He just went his own way. This was camo supplied by RuPaul. So the white that we're using here is actually sequins, clearly. He looks fabulous, darling. But you know. Pink, yellow trim, and blue shade. There's something wrong with you. Something very wrong with you, Cakefisk. Look at how good the coverage is on this white ink, though. It's going straight over black and grey. Pretty much easily. We're going to get another coating on the larger leaves, for sure, but... inks, man. Absolute game changers. You're now thinking it might look fabulous in this colour scheme. Fuck no. Needs way more hazard stripes. I like pie. Thank you very much, man. This was Orchimo's idea. It's his colour scheme. So exclamation point mystery in the chat. Every month we do at least 2 giveaways, sometimes more. Last month it was 4 actually. And that wasn't even including like the Necron release. Well, it wasn't really a Necron release. It was the Necronathon that we did, where we did 20 something giveaway prizes, I think. Already planning stuff, by the way, guys, for the streamiversary in April. Really, really looking forward to that, and I've got some cool shit lined up already. But we always do a giveaway of a mini every month. So I select 2 minis from my own collection, and then put another mini in the mystery box, and one lucky subscriber gets to choose from either the 2 minis that they know, or if they're feeling like neither of those necessarily is what they want, then we have the mystery box. It's always a mystery as to what is in there, hence the name. I mean, we couldn't make that any more explicit, really. And in the mystery box this time round was this little grot. So, Chimo won. Chimo said, can you paint him in like a bathrobe, like someone's interrupted his day at the spa? And I couldn't quite come to terms with it, so what we decided to do instead is give him the world's weirdest urban camo. So, the triple monolith on, it's a Lord of War choice, mate. I'm never ever going to use 3 of the fucking things. If it was still a heavy support, I'd have got 3. And it won't be a monolith on, it will be the Necronathon 2, Judgment Day. And that's definitely happening. And there will be a Necronathon 3 as well, by the way, guys. Spoilers. Because the Necronathon 3 will be an entire table's worth of terrain. So, on the last stream, we gave away a couple of vouchers to Death Ray Designs. One went to Macy, one went to Hobo J. They were the lucky 2, as it were. And I bought a load of stuff from Justin over in Death Ray Designs as well. We've got a couple of Necron buildings that I'm super excited to get hold of. And we're going to paint both those and the terrain we got from the Alliance Armory. I'm going to do a weekend of smashing out terrain. It's going to be good. Then we'll have an entire table's worth of Necron-themed terrain in the colour scheme of the Kyberdyne Dynasty. We're going to do a complete review and rundown on the terrain itself from both companies. So that's 2 top-tier manufacturers of MDF terrain, so you guys can see how this stuff works, how it goes together, what it's like to paint, and we're going to airbrush the fuck out of it. We're going to get some nice glowing reds coming in there, because obviously it's got to match the Kyberdyne guys that we've already painted. We're going to get some decent metallics on there. Then we'll get some battle damage going on, some scarring, maybe even make up some stencils, get them cut locally in acrylic, and then just blast on some good fades. Jay hates Ghost Arcs. Jay fucking hates Ghost Arcs. Ugh. God, no. Absolutely no Ghost Arcs. That's one of the best things about the new Necron stuff is you probably don't need to run Ghost or Doomsday Arcs. You've got alternatives. And thank Christ for that. Because I'm never painting another one of those god-awful fucking things again. As much as I love the ones I did for Ben, which featured in a very, very recent Hellstorm Wargaming Battle Report, !HW in the chat. As much as I loved them, they look super cool. I think I'd rather contract a fatal case of genital warts than paint another of those. Like, blue and falling off is where it would need to be before I'm like, yep. Always MP coming in with a sub says, yeah, buddy. Learning every show. Thank you very much, dude. That means a lot to me, so I really appreciate it. Glad we can help out, man. That's 4 months as well, man. Absolute superstar. I guess this stream you've learned, don't hold glass trophies with sweaty hands. And you've learned that sometimes daisies which should have 6 petals have more because you've just drawn them wrong. These are today's lessons, guys. Valuable lessons. Speaking of lessons, we've got our Print You One's next painting lesson on Wednesday night. I'm going to carry on with his non-metallic metal blue-black that he's been learning. And not this weekend coming, but the one after, I'm doing a day's worth of painting tuition with Mr. Nick McDade. I'm going to be teaching him how to airbrush his Marines, get 3 different colours down for his Dark Angels. So that kind of black-blue Raven Guard look that we like. The Deathwing sort of bone colour scheme. And then the Green Wing as well. And if anybody would like painting lessons, so private one-on-one tuition, we offer classes on a Monday night because that's the only night that I'm free. Start at £30 for an hour's tuition, and we can teach you pretty much anything. Whether it's somebody just wanting to brush up on their fundamentals, or whether it's slightly more advanced techniques like the non-metallic metals that we're teaching and so on. So if you are interested, hit me up on Discord. These are sort of daisies. They're not really daisies. What did you break? I mean, don't hold a glass trophy with sweaty hands. Have a guess at what I broke. So Hazard Strike base rims is it's like I can't back you on it. Can't back you on it. It's better than the Necron Vajazzle that you painted the first time round. But I can't believe I'm saying it. It's too much yellow on that Hazard Stripe. It should just be black. How many pieces? 2. Top bit and the bottom bit. Actually going back together. No, we could have done a Shamrock. Or a Clover. But just settle for these. But honestly, guys, glass trophy, sweaty hands. Nope. Nope. Ghost Ark or Helldrake. playing catch with chainsaws. Out of the two, I'd rather paint a Helldrake. If it's a choice of those two, I would paint a Helldrake over a Ghost Ark any day of the week. But the Helldrake would have to be unassembled. I love like would you rather questions. As long as they're the most random fucking things, they're always hilarious. This is so weird. There was a guy that did this sort of scheme on a Slanesh Demon Prince and did a far better job of it than we're doing here. It's like painted like a embroidered silk or chiffon or something down the fabric on this demon. Jesus Christ, it was so good. I'm shite with names, so I can't remember the artist's name, but it was all over Instagram for a while. Would you rather fight one Gaz-sized Grot or 100 Grot-sized Gaz? One Gaz-sized Grot. 100%. There's no power claw involved on that. And bear in mind that Gaz has got to be easily... Let's see. The mini's what? 3 times the height of a Primaris Marine? So let's say he's 20 foot tall. I'd rather fight a 20-foot tall Grot than 100 4-foot tall Gazgulls. Done any texturing? Yes. If you mean like distressing on things like leather straps and stuff like that, yeah, done that a lot. It's super simple, so that helps. It adds a lot of effect for not a lot of work. Come here, Halo Red. And before we do that, let's just block in. Actually, let's not block in. Let's wash in. We've got a dark texture already. I'm just thinning down a load more dark tone. And I'm just going to pop a wash over this because we've kind of highlighted this with the airbrush already. So just going to darken it down using a wash in the areas of like the fur essentially on here. And then all we've got to do is apply a quick highlight rather than paint it black and then do all the highlights from the ground upwards. So we kind of used our initial airbrush coat to give us a little bit of a cheat on that. Who would win in the fight? 1 million lions or the sun? The lions would win if they attacked at night. There are no words for that. There are no words for that at all. That was absolutely heinous. Apples or pears? Apples. Definitely. There's only one kind of pear I like. It's called a floral. And they're green and red. And they're really, really sweet. Very crisp. If you catch them at the right time. If you get it like a day or two past the point of being ripe, they're just mush on the inside. They're awful. But Pharrell pears, they're good. I can get behind them. But apples. And my favourite apples ever, unfortunately, I couldn't get any of this year. They're called Spartans. And they were usually something that would be sort of thrown out. But when Thatcher's started creating things like Thatcher's Katie and started planting a load of new apples for different varieties of cider, Spartans were one of them that caught on. Made shit cider, but they were amazing. The flavour is so good. They're crisp and juicy and bright and lovely. And they come out in September for about 2 weeks, but I couldn't find them anywhere. God, I'd eat them by the fucking bushel. Right, little red lapels. We'll do the star red as well. Get a nice bit of colour up here. Got a bit of that wash. Still a bit too wet. What colours you plan on putting on the grot? But basically, what we've got here is a bit more going on with the skin. Obviously, there's a load more going on with the skin. We haven't even started that yet. Just got a little bit of a base coat down with green. A lot of sort of neutral colours though, and then we'll work up a nice scenic base using some marble floor tiles. And we'll do marble by hand as well for those people that don't have an airbrush. That's one of the reasons why we're doing skin by hand as well. I know not everybody in the chat has got an airbrush, and I know we're very airbrush sort of centric most of the time, but you don't need one to paint. It just makes your life substantially easier if you've got one. I also want to do a little splash of red on the grenade, so we'll do this panel red and then we'll weather it a little bit, and the rest of it will be a nice dark metallic. Kets! How you doing, man? And also Fish just turned up as well. Thanks for that sub, brother. Always good to have you here. How you doing, Fish? How you doing, Kets, as well? How's your day gone? We've got another little panel here, so may as well do this in red too. Fish or Des? Oh man, that's like being asked to choose between your two favourite kids. Like, who's the favourite child? Wow. Wow. Could I take Dez's dog and Fish and then get kind of best of both worlds? I'll tell you what, no, actually it would be Dez, because Fish put up a picture of these lovely glass cabinets that right at the front of them has got an unpainted bloodthirster. Who the fuck puts an unpainted bloodthirster at the front of their cabinet? What is this utter heresy? You've only just built it. Alright, we'll let you off. Water skin, belt. Don't want to do those red. So these will be nice sort of rich, reddy browns, I think. Probably the best bet there. And yeah, let's just highlight this up now. So a little bit more red mixed in with that. All I've done for the base coat on this is just a mix of red and black. I use this a lot for painting red, because as long as you've got a red that's super rich, like this Cador red that we're using, it can take using the sort of desaturation, and it still works really, really well. So let's get some highlights in on Comrade Pushkin Daisy's star. We're not going for any sort of wet blending or anything here, obviously, because all the paint there is dry, but we will try and keep a bit of a gradient. Right, just be edge highlights. We don't do the heavy metal style of drawing boxes around shit. So thin this down quite nicely. Just work up the layers up towards this edge. Just do a little bit of an edge. Highlight on the front there. And then we've got one, maybe two more highlights to put up on this. Oh, dude, I know. I saw the conversation that you and Rocky were having about exactly that, in fact. So... already had the discussion with the missus, like, kids is a no for me entirely. She's kind of on board with that. So, greater demons do not survive a child thrown down the stairs to test if they actually fly. I might have had to investigate to see if the child could flap its arms hard enough to fly at that point. That'd be an evolutionary path the child would either evolve or the other. One of the guys I went to No Retreat with, his child decided that he wanted to find out if the fire raptor he had could fly. Hell no. Fire raptor can't fly. Darwin Award for that child. Yeah. Kets. Ooh, unlucky, man. Hope your headache gets better. So again, build this red up. Try and keep that nice gradient going down. Trying to leave a nice little recess around this rivet as well, so that's a little darker, and kind of bring up this side of it a little bit more. Again, definitely got at least one, if not two highlights to go, but start getting those blends, those gradients going on. Wow. Wow. To be fair, she has learned very well from Bart Simpson. It was like that when I got here. So all I'm doing is the same colour. We're not adding any red into this, but we're just building up layers of it. And that helps build the opacity, which helps build that colour up. So you're going to get the highlight out of it in a very smooth way without it being just you putting down another colour straight away. Remember, a highlight, especially if you thinned it correctly, it's always going to go on as a little bit of a glaze. Won't have that full opacity. And so as a result, you can use it quite a few times before you reach that maximum saturation of that kind of paint. So it really does help you get those smoother blends on stuff. And as you can see, it doesn't take long to dry. We're using a lot of water. Water evaporates real quick off the Mini. Certainly a lot quicker than most paint medium does. Yet back though, we've been making monsters from my bits box to play with, Drakari with Hive Tyrant wings. That's a big set of wings on a tiny little Eldar, dude. But that's awesome, dude. I'm glad the kids get to sort of enjoy part of the hobby as well, because I think most people that are into any sort of Games Workshop thing got the bug early in their life. Like there was something you saw that made you think, fuck, that's cool. Or as a child, just like, wow! For me, it was walking into Games Workshop Cheltenham, which was the Games Workshop that was nearest to my hometown. And I asked my mum if we could go in, just because I thought it was computer games, obviously. I didn't have a console or anything, but we had a Master System, I guess. But seeing a massive table filled with Ultramarines back when they were blue and yellow. So this is 2nd edition, remember? A big old table covered in Ultramarines, made out of those like plastic sort of styrofoam containers that Metal Minis used to come in. That hooked me so hard. Danny Tubbs, absolutely, dude. In fact, the whip is going on in about 25 minutes. So, plenty of time to get a few extra touches to it before you upload it if you want. So now we've got almost pure Khador red. There's a little bit of that mix we were just using in there. And we're just going to bring these lapels, that star, and of course those bits of red metal we've got on the grenade up. One extra highlight color. So really working this towards that highlight. On the star, we'll now do all of these lines at the top, come down about halfway, and then just the outside edges on these two bits at the bottom. Just on that one side, yeah? It's going to help bring that red up the way. Alex the Kid in Miracle World. Yes, mate. Fuck yes. Loved that. Fish, I wish I'd known that that was going to be the case, because the only thing I kept from the Eldar and Dark Eldar that I sold to you was 5 Scourges that all had the... I don't know what a Scourge Champion's called, so we'll just call it an X-Arch, knowing I'm wrong. But like the X-Arch wings, the feathery ones, I wish I'd known, otherwise you could have had them. I kept them because I thought at some point I might want to use those wings for something. And that was it. You were 11 in last year of primary school. Mate brought in a Citadel annual. I fell in love with how cool. Yeah, man. I used to literally sit there looking at that book and just wishing that I had those toys to play with. That was it. This hobby absolutely had its hooks in me from like the age of 8. I fucking loved it. There's so much cool stuff about it. And it helps teach you so many things, like life lessons about winning and losing, about socializing with people, things like math and English and grammar and spelling and stuff, you know. Reading comprehension. This hobby gives so much. So much. Started when I got Hero Quest. Oh mate, Hero Quest. I never actually played a game of Hero Quest. A friend of mine had it, and instead of playing Hero Quest, what we ended up doing, because we were all into 40k, was making our own game. Like we legitimately wrote rules for a game that was kind of like the Warhammer Quest version of 40k. And it had different baddies, and we created a rule book and everything for this. It was, oh man, so good. But because of that, we never played Hero Quest. We used the board for it, for like our little dungeon that we played in, but never played Hero Quest itself. Right, I'm just going to grab a touch of Flash Gitz Yellow to really give our red an extra bit of pop. Oh mate, the epic 40k box. God damn. I never had that. I had some of the Space Marine Titans, and I had a small Space Marine Guard army that was pretty much Shadow Swords. And they were painted so fucking terribly. They were white with dark blue tiger striping. They were so bad. Absolute terrible. But to me at the time, they were the shit. They were the absolute shit. My first ever commission. There you go. First ever commission was 10 pence per model. And it was painting the Eldar epic stuff. So like the War Walkers that were this tall, and a couple of Wraith Lords. And maybe some Guardians, like the older epic scale Guardians. That was my first ever commission for a kid that I was at school with. Always had that side hustle going. Like, always wanted it to be like doing something to earn a little bit of scratch. I mean, don't get me wrong, I probably blew it all in the tuck shop on like lager and lime sweets or cola bottles or something. Alright, a little bit more flash kits. Gonna pop this out even further just because we're loving this right now. Tiniest edge highlight though. Just on that top edge. And these rivets. See that grenade pops so hard. Best mate at school started around a Chinese restaurant, which is a massive engineering boat with literally covered for a scenery. Oh, mate. Space Crusade. I had Space Crusade. My mum bought me that from a charity shop, second hand. Loved Space Crusade. Had the Mission Dreadnought thing. That was where my Chaos Army came from when I was a child. And I didn't know anything about the lore, so they were from the Split Infinity chapter. Obviously, it would have been a Legion. And obviously really would have been a war band, but you know, whatever. And their colour scheme was terrible. It was Hawk turquoise panels and whatever Games Workshop's purple. Was it Naggaroth Night still back then, I think? But it was those two colours with black everywhere else. So bad. Brilliant. Well done, Fish. Educating people, clearly. You know. Right. Got a little red. Got the daisies done. Let's get a few quick base coats done, and that should probably get us up to the whip. So I want to do some brown on the pouches and ting. What have we got? Right outside. That'll do. Warlock purple. No, Warlock purple is the kind of pinky one. This is like a dark purple, which I still think might have been called Naggaroth Night. Play Space Crusade, Uni, and Hero Quest later. Still have the minis. Oh, wow. Damn, man. Because Hero Quest had some great minis. The Bloodthirster. Was it Gargoyle, they called it? That was cool. Space Crusade had the original version of the Necrons, or Chaos Androids, as they were called at the time. And the Dreadnoughts, so they're like ED-209 with the 4 fucking weapons and all that. Super good. I've never used the Monument paints. I want to, and I'm waiting for them to get stocked on Element properly so I can pick up a few. Looks like end of October is their sort of UK release for Element holding their stock. And I'm really excited by it, but only if, and this is a massive caveat, I hate those fucking lids that they put on. That twist top bullshit. That's a no for me. I'm not into that at all. Give me a regular, like, pot like that, and I'm good. Like, just like dropper bottles. But that twist top thing, I watched enough of Kenny's streams where he's got clogs that's just not something I'm interested in. And obviously Kenny, big friend to Jason Craze and the Monument / Pro Acryl team. So you know if he's going to say something bad, it's because he genuinely feels that this is not a good part of the product. Now the UK tubs, I believe, still have those lids on. But the US version is now a different kind of top. You can just choose at checkout which one you want. And I would definitely take the normal bottle toppers. Vallejo, I've used a buttload of Vallejo stuff. And I like Vallejo. I really do. Does it compare to GW stuff? Most GW paints, I think, are shit. Don't get me wrong, they've got some great ones. Loving Rhinox Hide, that's a good colour. Flash Gitz Yellow is one of the best yellows that you can get. Xandri Dust is a decent sort of tan colour. Most of the paint that I use is P3. P3 absolutely do some of the best pigments in the business. They have a slightly finer grind on the pigment than most other paints. As a result, what you end up with is something that has a lot more strength to it once you've painted it on the miniature. And I find time and time again that P3 is what I'm picking up. Like, I used to use and swear by Evil Sun Scarlet. For me, that was the best red. Then we found Kador Red. And I gave away my Evil Sun Scarlet. Because it's no good. In comparison, it's... Oh. Titan Ford, that's really, really encouraging to hear. Because I'd love to try those out, but not at the expense of hours of fucking around. Like, just no. Right, dark metal. Let's grab... Yeah, probably good old-fashioned gunmetal. So, Vallejo Model Air Gunmetal. Big fan of this. Metal and Dead Mini and the Hero Quest expansion pack were really good. Oh, I don't remember those at all. I don't remember any of the metal ones. I had some... I bought Warhammer Quest when that came out. Like, probably within about 6 months of release. Games Workshop went through this massive boom at that point where they had so much that came out, sort of specialist games-wise. They had Necromunda, Warhammer Quest, Blood Bowl got a revamp. You know, there was so much they were pushing out. That was like the previous golden age of Games Workshop, right? That was when, at the time, everyone was like, this is the best this company has ever been. We can see it continuing on like this forever. And Warhammer Quest I loved. Mostly because you could play it solo as well. And growing up where I did, there was nobody my age apart from a girl called Jess who we didn't get on, basically. Although when we were both 18, we can use your imagination. But certainly as a child, there was nobody about. So Warhammer Quest, that was sick. Playing single player, grinding through dungeons. My favourite character was the Troll Slayer. We got the expansion for that, for the Metal Mini. He was super cool. Relations improved, yeah, something like that. First two expansions, original HQ. Can't remember the expansions. No, I honestly can't. What was Warhammer Quest? So Warhammer Quest was like, it was their version of Hero Quest. So Hero Quest was created by Games Workshop in conjunction with, I want to say it was Milton Bradley or something along those lines, MB Games. And it was like a dungeon crawling game, right? Warhammer Quest was their own fully in-house version of it. But it had tiles per room, and you'd basically get to a door, you'd open a door, and you'd flip over a card, and you'd go and find that tile and put it down. Unless you had set maps that you were playing that were like a pre-written quest. And you had normally a party of up to 4 adventurers, and you try and fight your way through the dungeon. If you know what Blackstone Fortress is Warhammer Quest Blackstone Fortress, and it was like the original Games Workshop version of that. Daddy Tubbs, you don't want much detail. Trust me. Right, what time are we at? We have 10 minutes or so before we do the whip. So exclamation point Discord if you'd like to get involved on that. I don't really have enough time to do a skin, but we could do these little bits of brown that we've got, like the stick on the stick bomb, and the water bottle and so on, his canteen. Trust me, if you can't use your imagination for that one, Daddy Tubbs, then this stream is definitely too mature for you. Actually, what we will do is we'll just throw down a slightly darker wash on these parts of his helmet as well. Really get some separation between those and the rest of his great cloak slash dressing gown. So what I've done here is I've taken a little bit of black paint, thrown that in with the dark tone we were using for that second wash over the top, essentially. Right, so what have we got on the palette we can use? We've got some yellow, we've got some red. Right, let's try brown and a touch of yellow, see what happens. It's probably going to go very green on me. Yeah. Useful, but not for right now. Fish, I fucking love it. So many Marine players like, oh, we've been nerfed. We don't deserve this. Rah, rah, rah. I've just bought this army. GW's just after my money. Like, they're a company. Yes. Donna-chan! Thanks for that sub, dude. Painting tips, inspiration, and great backing sounds. Love it, mate. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Very cool to hear. Thank you for your support as well. Mate, it's been hilarious, and I couldn't give the slightest fuck about a Marine player's tears, especially if they're the kind of Marine players that only played Marines because they were winning games at tournaments. That's it. And I know enough of those people. You know, play by the sword, die by the sword, all that shit. You said they've nerfed the right things. Eradicators. One of the things that needed a nerfing more than almost anything else, completely fucking untouched, and let's have another gun that's even better. That is some grade A full bullshit right there. That did not need to happen. They're right up there with like the Ironstone as far as oversights go in a Marine Codex, I feel. But, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, 1 million multi-part kits. I hope, just to really, really rub salt in the wound, I really hope that you can mix weapons in squads, and that you get one of those heavy melter guns per box. Because I want to see Marine players dropping 300 quid to get 9 of them. I think 80 is maybe a little bit too much, if I'm honest, and I hate the fucking things, but 60 feels fair. Yeah, exactly, but like I said earlier on, like everything I talk about with regards to the gameplay is competitive play. I'm happy enough to play narrative games as long as both winning and losing enhances the story. In more ways than just and the forces of the insert army that lost here were vanquished and a day was saved. Like, that's not a story anymore. We might as well just played a real game. But everything I talk about is almost always from a competitive standpoint, and because in a competitive environment you are striving for efficiency, then you just smash it. It's not just a multi-melter, Dan. No. It's a heavy melter rifle that at 12-inch range does D6 plus 4 damage. And you can still fire it twice. D6 plus 4 damage. That thing does more damage than the gigantic heavy laser cannon on the fucking repulsor. I mean, here's this enormous gun we've had to mount on a tank because it's the only thing capable of having it and shooting. And that big rifle that dude's got outperforms it. Because it still shoots twice. Whew. Here's me hoping my bullshit allergy calms down a little bit before the next event. Right, let's get a little bit of silver in here, and then we'll do a quick wash, and then it is whip time. So you got just that to put on there, the little fastener for his canteen. Nightbringer is hilarious. I fucking absolutely love the new Nightbringer rules. Somebody asked, like, do I know what base model I'm going to use to convert it? And the answer is no. I have no idea. If I'm honest, it'll probably be something weird and 3D printed. Rather than like a Games Workshop product cut up and hacked apart a bit. Because I can't think of anything that GW do at the moment that looks like the Nightbringer should look. I don't like the Terrorgeists or whatever they're called. The things that people use quite a lot as Thousand Sons Demon Princes. I'm just not really a fan of those. A friend of mine, James Grover, who, if you guys read Goonhammer, you will know who that is. That's Wings. I get to play with him quite often, or certainly at events with him quite often. And he uses those as Catan, like Transcendent Catan. He was running a list with 5 Catan, and he used to do quite well with it. He used to take that for sort of his fun tournament list, just to go and chill out and have a laugh for a day. He's a good dude. Got a lot of time for him. Very cerebral player, which I really like. I'm gutted that COVID shut down the event that Goonhammer were going to do. Because I was sponsoring that. That was going to be a lot of fun. Ask Mr. Frozin for something. Yeah, very possible. Very possible. Yeah, the Void Dragon is definitely just like the one kit. And I could use that as the basis for the Nightbringer, but it's fucking gigantic. Fish, it is. But it's 360 points. And it can be targeted anywhere on the table. And that ability's got a 9-inch range. So you're probably going to get it off once. That's it. Yeah. So you shoot it in the first turn. Then the second turn you shoot it, charge it, and kill it. It's going to gain a wound back. So you then got to also do a psychic, like a smite or something. But he's certainly not unkillable at all. Like, you could overwatch him. That's a different phase. Just chip that wound off and then kill him in the fight phase. So, I like Pie. No. That's not their business model at all, though. Right. This is where we're going to stop for the evening. We're going to go into the Whip Gallery now. So, ! Discord. Get yourself over there. Upload some pics of what you've been working on. Remember, if you would like to win a mini painted by me in a colour scheme of your choice, even if it is, please paint daisies on a grey cloak. Mystery. We also give away a £50 hobby voucher once per month as well. Win for information on that. Pretty soon, probably within the next... Probably, let's say a month after all the Necron releases are out. We'll do it that way. There will be the Necronathon 2, where we're going to paint up the Locusts I've just bought, the Doomstalkers, some Hextech dudes with the 6-shooters. Fucking love those. What else is GW coming out with? Probably some flayed ones, let's be honest, because they look cool. A Monolith, because cool. Probably won't be doing the Silent King, the Void Dragon, and somewhere up here is Cesaras as well. Not in that time because they're character models. I want to really sort of take some time on those. But yeah, Necronathon 2 is coming. Then Necronathon 3 will be a huge fuck ton of Necron themed terrain. It's going to be like Terminator Salvation. It's going to be painful to watch. Let's go check out the whip, see what we got. So from tonight at 9, Commissar Alfarius. This is, of course, Commissar Bob. Let's see what he's been working on. We've got some Lehman Russ Plasma Cutioner. Daddy Tubs, they're actually all in display, apart from my Knights, which I haven't unpacked yet, in here. So we've got the Custodes commission that I did for Akuno, which is... sat here waiting for it to tell me to be sent. We've got some Necrons. We've got some Nurgle dudes. Sorry, Necrons, Nurgle dudes. The Knights normally live there with the Hellbrins up here. We've got the Scarabs and the rest of the Nurgle guys. There's a shelf just free at the bottom for some of the larger monoliths, that sort of thing. You know what would be cool? Get some of the 3D sculpture, weird Catan kind of thing that looked like a statue laying on the floor that was in the Astartes fan film. All I remember is when he goes to the planet and there's the fucking weird alien things. No, I'd like a Nightbringer that's like the essence of Nightbringer. So the sort of bare chest, floating Dementor style ghostly cloth, big fucking scythe, but ideally in either a bit like the Deceiver's pose, where he's like the one arm out, and I want him to have like the scythe back, or coming in with a big double-handed fucking cleaving, scything action for it. So maybe we're looking at getting someone to do a custom sculpt, but maybe not. So what have we got here? We've got a little multi-melter bits. We've got all the sponsons, all the kit and caboodle for a Lemon Russ. We've got Punisher Cannon, Demolisher Cannon, Las Cannon, Heavy Flamers. All of this for this tank. Love it. Absolutely love it. All the options. Get the most out of your plastic crack. Nice work, mate. I like it. Get a bit more contrast in there, though. Make sure you get all those rivets washed. just help them stand out a little bit more. Then of course get the highlights going on as well. Butt shot for the tank. It's looking good, man. You can get some weathering powders in there. You know. So their business model is sell you plastic crack. That's it. I can't be mad about it because I love the game. Genuinely love the game. It's something I devote hundreds of hours of my life to every year. So I like it, dude. Very, very cool. Cake Fisk, lots of stuff left, but damn, I love this model. So we've got another one of the boats from the sort of cyberpunk dwarves, what they called Arcanauts. It's good, man. There's a lot left to do on this, though. There's so many details to pick out still as well. Crownblade's doing some of these as well. I like your two-tone colour scheme. I do. It looks like a proper Overlords. That's it. Caradron Overlords. Looks like a tugboat with that sort of dark and light colour scheme. Big fan. Look, people whinge about the rules all the time. So I like real talk. The game is not balanced and will never be balanced. There will always be something that is better than something else. But that's fine. Because whilst one thing's better than something else, so let's say that horde armies, so armies with loads of infantry, suddenly become the next thing that's better than everything else. Then everything else has to adapt its playstyle to be able to beat the horde army. So instead of going for like anti-tank weapons, it's loads of like mass fire, cannons and stuff like that. So that becomes as powerful as the horde army. But then what happens is somewhere further down here, you've got an army that's basically just tanks, like my knights. And because nobody's got the weapons to take them out, they become more powerful and they start winning games. And it becomes this cyclical thing, and that's totally fine. In terms of their actual game rules, the game is better now than it's ever been. And I've played the game competitively for 3 editions now. So if you play fighting games semi-competitive, same deal. Downside is, and this is why in miniature gaming, people get a little bit more salty about it. If you maybe switch from like Zangief to playing Guile, say, it's taken you a few hours, maybe a couple of weeks of playing that character to get to grips with it. It isn't you buying £400 worth of miniatures to then find out maybe 2 months later that they're now suddenly not at the top anymore and they've dropped off. So that people have maybe some attachment issues as well because miniatures they've painted, but certainly fiscally there's a lot of people that get salty just over the investment they've put in. But I love the game. It's brilliant. I like it, dude. Honestly. Love your colour scheme. Like I said, there's plenty more to do. This thing must be an absolute bastard to paint fully assembled as well. So, fair play for even attempting that. Yeah, Fish has got it right. You know, play the armies that you like the look of, that you love the lore, you have some sort of emotional connection to. I love my knights. Giant robots. Fucking great. I love them. They're terrible. They shouldn't win games. But because I've played them for so long, and because I know all the tricks for it, and because I know everybody else's army, I frequently come home from a tournament with an award. So, it's great. Holy shit! This is an old one. This is a Bretonnian questing knight. I used the head from the Grail Knight on all of my horses for my undead army. I know nothing about Age of Sigmar, by the way. I don't play it. It's not because I don't like the look of it, but because I'm a competitive 40k player and I have to focus on that rule set and that rule set alone. Otherwise I'll get confused, I'll make a mistake, and that'll cost me a game, which will cost me a tournament. I love some of the Sylvaneth models. Ariel on the big fucking beetle is one of my favourite models the Association have ever made. Ever made. Quid. Mounted the Weps under the right power fist, all magnetized. Green stuff needs a lot of work, just roughing out the shape. So Quid is doing a pretty fucking sexy looking Legion of the Damned army. I like this dude. Yeah, he's in a good position, good pose. I've seen so many Redemptors that are in the traditional falling over pose. You've done a good job. Yeah, big fan. Big fan. Rev, getting his Savage Orcs on. That skin tone, man. Oh, that's vibrant. Love that. Giving me like full-on Marvel the Hulk vibes from this guy. Look at the front shot. Nice, dude. We'll take a close look at that axe. Looks like you've done some pretty good flint work. No, it's metallic. I thought it was like napped flint at that point. Yeah, love this, mate. Really, really good job. The next step I'd suggest to do is take some bright pink and do the gum line, because it stands out so much against the green. We'll be doing it on this little grot. Don't you worry. Very nice, mate. Very, very nice. The Johnsonator working on Khan. This is 30k Khan. As always, mate. Utterly beautiful. Fucking love that white. So good. Nice job on the plasma. Very bright, very crisp. Yeah. Stunning as always, man. Also, follow the Johnsonator on Instagram if you want to know how he paints his swords. He's just done an Instagram tutorial for it. It's a quick 5-step tutorial. Go check it out. Really nice job, mate. And this is... oh, the head. And is it Gore Child at this point? It's not, is it? It's just a chain axe, right? Love that helmet, though. Yeah, that helmet's cool. Is it? It is. Cool. Very nice, mate. As always. Love to see him when he's fully assembled, though. Scud Bucket, I think. I'm new to Warhammer. This is my first hand painting. Nice, dude. I love the fact there's an Armiger on the table there. Big fan of that. Going for ultramarines, clearly. So, tips to give an absolute beginner is it's better to thin your paint slightly. So add a little bit of water. Don't need to go crazy, just a tiny amount. And paint 2 coats of something rather than try and get everything done in one thick coat. By doing that, you get a lot thinner, less sort of detail blocking coat of paint down. Then with that second coat, it looks a lot smoother, especially over a black undercoat. Desk and keyboard are so clean. Mate, that keyboard is something else. Loving that. WASD bright green. Very cool. Chopping mat. Super crisp. Cervantes. Let's get a shout out for Cervantes. Nice Blood Angel, man. Yeah, like this. I'd maybe just go up a step higher for some of your highlights on the red, because I can tell you've done them. But some of your edge highlights there are almost lost, unfortunately. It might just be the camera, though. You know, it's difficult to take photos of minis. Love the black on the shoulder pads. Your decals have been put down really, really smoothly. Bolt has been drilled. Yeah, this is good, man. Nice work on the base. Got some powders down as well. Big fan of that. Yeah. I like it, mate. I like it. Mid-range commission. Okay. Yeah, totally understand, man. See, I'm a very different kind of commission artist. I literally just like, look, this is the standard that you'll get, and this is the price for it. You can have that, or you can get somebody else. Only because I know I'm going to do them anyway, and I'm going to get paid for it if I'm going to do it. Like you said, you know, it's tempting, and you always just like, oh, if I just do this, it'll look better. Like, this Magnus, I'm fucking loving painting him. And so we're pushing it on every single part. But the client is paying for that. Yeah. Totally, man. Like, it's that hard balance, isn't it? Right? It's only really within the last year, and I've been doing this for 4 years. So only in the last year I've been able to do that, where it's just like, you know what? You can, if you want me to paint it, this is what it's going to be. And it's only because I don't rely on it as an income. I have a full-time job on top of this, and so I can pick and choose what I want. And the only reason behind that is because I got a raise and a slightly better day job. So for mid-level, I think you have completely fucking undersold mid-level. This is better than most Tabletop Plus that I've seen. There are some well-known studios that sound like maybe someone has surrounded a castle and is keeping people trapped inside that. They would call this bronze, except you've done better than their bronze. So, well done, dude. Fucking well done. Fish. Only just started, but first time with the airbrush on out but scenery. Lots more to learn / practice. Not bad, man. You can see there's a bit of variation across the board. Some of these are sit around with fleege. They make shit brushes too. By the way, we're going to be giving these away at some point. God, I had an argument with the managing director, shall we say, of that particular studio that rhymes with fleege, who is a militant vegan and very ventress. I can neither confirm nor deny. Very militant vegan, like meat is murder and all that shit. And I said, I mean, how do you rationalize that with the fact that you run a business that trades in animal fur? A can of worms, and no mistake. But fortunately, he immediately just went, "I'm a hypocrite." And that was it. Fish. Let's go back to safer topics of conversation, such as these. Consistency is key when it comes to airbrushed highlights. You've done really, really well on some of these for the first attempt. Like, seriously, dude. Well done. No comment, Cake Fisk. But if you look at, say, the first and the second one, their greaves are super bright blue. Bear in mind he's from Essex, alright? So, yeah. So, but yeah, you've got these super bright greaves, the midsection super bright, and the shoulders super bright. But then you look slightly further down the row, and nobody else has got the midsection. Some of their legs don't conform to a position where they'd be in bright light, but you need to establish the same values across the board. It just takes time, it takes practice, but I like what you've done so far, mate. I really do. Keep it up the practice. I painted 2 full armies before I felt comfortable with the airbrush and got to a point where I was absolutely smashing things out in a consistent fashion. By the time I did the Blood Angels that you guys have seen in here quite a lot, I'd already painted an entire Grey Knight army and an entire Alpha Legion Primaris army with the airbrush. So, it takes time. You have to basically think about it as not, oh, I'm just going to paint with an airbrush now instead, but as learning to paint all over again. Good work though, mate. And that blue, the highlight colour you've used for that blue, is beautiful. Really pops off, full of vibrancy. I like it a lot. Quid, again, a Death Company Dread I painted in a night, and a Redemptor I'm working on. Size Creep is real. Oh, I saw this. In the general chat, I think. Yeah, size creep is real, especially when you put another inch worth of base underneath it, though. I mean, I'm not going to let you off that one. But the little mini dread that basically comes up to the todger of the Enormo dread. Yeah, size creep is a thing. I mean, the fucking skull you've got this guy stood on is bigger than most of that dread. Good work though, man. Jager, having a break from Warhams and building a Grandad Gundam. What? It's a Grandad. I don't understand the Grandad part of it, but it's a giant robot. The only thing I know about Gundam is from Ready Player One. That's it. I choose the form of Gundam. Love it. Right. Okay. He looks cool. And giant robot. So, gotta give you props for that. Competitive wargaming. My tourney army, battle ready. Well, before the new codex drops at least. Okay. Don't take this the wrong way, but I'd hate to see it if Scorpius Whirlwinds got completely shafted by the Forge-World book. Fucking evil things, these. Well done, though. Nice little paint scheme. Very, like you said, tabletop ready, battle ready. You know, there's loads of room you've got to sort of amp these up, put in some more details, but maybe wait for that codex to drop and then Whirlwind's the next OP shit. You reckon? Really? In the same codex as fucking Eradicators? These look cool though. There's an awful lot of weathering. Oh, you've done the doors the other way around as well. Why that way? That's curious. I've always used that side as the inside rather than the outside, because I want that flat panel to do decals and freehand and such on. But lots of mud effects. Good job these guys don't normally have to move anywhere. They're pretty clogged up. That is not a Thunderfire cannon. However, I do really like your Tech Marine. He looks cool. Little Primarisified conversion in there. Yeah, like that. Okay, okay. Yeah, I get that. That makes sense. I like it. That's the first time I've ever seen that, though. Good shout. Good shout. We normally stick to just 3, so I'm going to skip through a couple of these, but I love these. Those are Custode heads, right? The Alarus Terminators, is that right? No, what? Always fight last. Fuck. Is that any unit or like non-vehicle or? There's a lot of stuff that's fight last coming out. Even Necrons have got like a Vex Mask style thing. Marines have got like Armor of Rust. They've got the Judicia and so on and so on. So yeah, there's a lot of that. I like your color scheme. The swords like kind of off green, the blue teal for the shields. Like that a lot. These things are horrible. Absolutely horrible. But again, nice work. Very muddy, very sort of ripped up battlefield. Big fan. Got some suppressors. We've got some sneaky boys. We've got some intercessors. Let's have a look at these guys. Yeah, nice work, man. Very dark, very muddy, very gritty, very battle-torn. Yeah, I like it. And then we've got sort of a glamour shot of the Primaris Captain dude. Still on the Chaos Boy. Yeah, competitive wargame, that's exactly how I saw that. Kind of 1917, like trench warfare, battlefield's blown to shit. Big fan. Yeah, I like it, dude. Oh, that's it. Tell you what, that's it. Let's have a quick look at some of these. I love how the sneaky boys have the bright green OSL. I can never remember which one's which. These are the ones with the deep strike denial, I think. And didn't these get nerfed ever so slightly? Is that a thing now? I like Pi. It's up to you for the bases, but for me, the base isn't a thing your model stands on. It's a definite part of the model and needs to be treated as such. No extra shot. What extra shot? Oh, they went up a oh, fuck. But they lost the AP. Yeah, that's it, yeah. Yeah, I remember Mikey whinging about a lack of AP. Fair. That's better, though. God, I'd take that -1 for a third shot every fucking time. Nice. Good looking list, dude. Couple of Scorpius, couple of Thunderfires, some Blade Guard. Some... Hate them. Nice. Like it though, dude. Good theme for your army as well. So, well done. Let's get a group shot for the next whip. Take like a full army shot so we can see it. And then, after the codex has dropped and you've got all of the information at your fingertips, tell me what you're changing out. Any enemy unit. Oh, fucking hell. Anything that makes a knight fight last is just a dead knight. That's it. So this is it. This was tonight's work. We've started painting our grot for Chimo. On tomorrow night's Hellstorm stream, we'll make a base. So if you guys, in fact, here you are. I like pie. If you want to know a little bit how to make cool scenic bases yourself, then tune into that stream. That'll be twitch.tv/Hellstorm Wargaming from 6 o'clock. Myself and Mikey will probably be talking shit about the new Marine Codex. We'll probably be talking great things about the new Necron Codex. And then once I've done the base on that, I will probably do a bit more work on Magnus the Blue as well. Might start getting the shades down for those wings before we do some highlights on those soon on air. So thanks for tuning in. Daddy Tubbs, yes, basically. Apothecaries is just good. They're cheap, or they were cheap. They might not be cheap anymore. And getting a full one of those back on 3 wounds on a 4-up is obnoxiously good. So, yeah, definitely Apothecary is a thing. Right, let's go see who is on Twitch. Who we got? Studio J7, he's got another 15 minutes or so, and he's building some MDF terrain. So we're going to raid Studio J7, only because he's putting together some Death Ray Designs kit. And we're going to be doing that soon ourselves. Except rather than assembling it on stream, we will probably be just painting it on stream. Because I want to seal it with a lot of PVA and water to get a really nice smooth surface on it. So thanks for tuning in. I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow on the Hellstorm stream. But if not, it will be Tuesday night. Forgot the dates entirely. Here live at night. Yeah, it's a strap to revive it. Yeah. Anyway, peace out, guys. We'll see you soon.